Welcome back to the deep dive. Sometimes the most valuable knowledge isn't found in just a single principle, but in the fusion of two seemingly contradictory ideas.
And that is exactly where we're headed today.
We're embarking on a deep dive into ancient wisdom, drawing from a stack of sources centered around the powerful life and really the testimony of John the Baptist.
We have an incredible juxtaposition here. It spans the absolute assurance of divine support, that almost bulletproof confidence in prayer.
Right.
And then it sets it right alongside the radical command for personal humility, this idea of the decreasing self.
It sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? I mean, how can you simultaneously walk with supreme, unqualified confidence and embrace profound self-diminishment?
Well, our sources from the first letter of John, the sheer delight of the Psalms, and that deep narrative in the Gospel of John, they show us how these two concepts fuse into one.
One cohesive, practical truth.
Exactly. Our mission today is to unpack these two principles. We need to understand the structural mechanics of confidence in prayer, what it is and what its limitations are.
And then see how that radical humility acts as the necessary precondition, the filter, maybe?
The filter is a perfect word for it, yes.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with the striking declaration about faith and consequence that seems to lay the groundwork for absolute assurance. We're diving into 1 John chapter 5.
This passage, it immediately establishes a powerful foundation for anyone engaging with the divine. It focuses not just on asking, but on the certainty of being heard.
It sets the bar incredibly high. The core assertion is we have this confidence in him that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us.
And then comes the truly breathtaking part.
The guaranteed outcome. And if we know that he hears us in regard to whatever we ask, we know that what we have asked him for is ours.
That sounds like an unqualified, ironclad guarantee, right? A guaranteed outcome for prayer. But we have to look so closely at that tiny qualifier embedded right in there.
The fine print.
The fine print. If we ask anything according to his will.
That condition immediately removes the idea that this is some kind of blank check for any selfish request.
Of course.
It's an assurance of success, but only when you're operating within the divine plan.
Precisely. And the text immediately pulls back on that potential absolute certainty with a really critical nuance concerning human failure or sin.
Right. It draws a very sharp theological boundary line that we need to understand. It instructs what happens if anyone sees his brother sinning.
Yeah.
But then it defines sin.
Yes, into these two distinct categories. The distinction between sin that is not deadly and sin that is deadly.
Okay.
For the first kind, the instruction is clear. He should pray to God and he will give him life. But then the text explicitly carves out an exception.
It says, there is such a thing as deadly sin, about which I do not say that you should pray. That is a fascinating and, frankly, a challenging distinction for an audience maybe accustomed to a more modern spirituality, the idea that some prayers might be, pointless.
Or outside the scope of assurance.
Yes, that must be deeply arresting. What's the practical implication of that?
The implication, I think, lies in the state of the heart, which connects right back to the confidence we started with.
Okay.
The assurance of prayer rests on alignment with God's will. Deadly sin, in this context, it isn't just a mistake. It's a fundamental rejection of the truth that breaks that alignment completely.
So it's a failure of the discernment that the text talks about.
Exactly. If your actions are fundamentally opposing the divine will, the confidence that he hears us just evaporates because the connection necessary for that alignment is severed.
So the confidence isn't arbitrary. It's rooted in a relationship maintained through right action, right knowledge.
And the source then pivots right back to protection for those who do maintain that closeness.
It does, offering this powerful protective assurance to those who are begotten by God.
Yes, the text guarantees that the one begotten by God is protected, and it's striking, the evil one cannot touch him. This sets up a profound, almost binary worldview.
It's an uncompromising view of reality. It defines the stakes so clearly. The source states plainly, we know that we belong to God, and the whole world is under the power of the evil one.
It's either protection or power.
And that leads directly to the mechanism for navigating this serious situation.
Discernment. The conclusion grounds this entire section firmly in Christ, stating that the Son of God has come and has given us discernment to know the one who is true.
So that knowledge is what allows the confidence to exist within those protected boundaries.
It is. And the ultimate failure of discernment, then, is addressed in the segment's final warning.
Children, be on your guard against idols. It's a reminder that misplaced devotion or even self-worship directly breaks that protective confidence.
Indeed. Idolatry, whether it's, worshiping a carved image or worshiping your own ego, is the ultimate loss of discernment. It moves you directly into the sphere where that confidence can't hold.
So we're ending the segment on this very serious warning: avoiding deadly sin, seeking discernment, and then we smash right into Psalm 149.
A huge tonal shift.
A massive one. So why is this explosive joy the necessary antidote, or perhaps the emotional release from the fear and seriousness we just discussed? What bridge does celebration provide?
That is a critical question because the shift feels so intentional. The serious warning in 1 John is all about self-focus, the danger of sin and idols.
Right.
The psalm immediately pulls us out of that self-focus and into collective unearned joy. Joy rooted entirely in the divine.
In this psalm, it's not about polite reflection. It's about delight and a physical response. It begins with a call to sing to the Lord a new song.
In the assembly of the faithful, it's a group activity. And the imagery is incredibly vigorous. It demands that they praise his name in the festive dance and use the timbrel and harp.
This isn't quiet contemplation.
Not at all. The celebration is aggressive. It's mandated because its source is external and overpowering.
It sounds like an unbridled party, but a party with a very specific purpose. What's the central theme that fuels this kind of exuberant praise?
Well, the core refrain gives us the key. The Lord takes delight in his people, and he adorns the lowly with victory.
Okay, that's crucial. The joy isn't earned by human greatness or power. It is given to the lowly.
The humble. It's a joy rooted in belonging, not in achievement.
That is the crucial connection point for us. The celebration of the victory given to the lowly is the perfect emotional training ground for radical humility.
Yes.
You're celebrating someone else's success on your behalf.
Exactly. The faithful are told to exult in glory and even to sing for joy upon their couches. The joy is so profound, so pervasive, that it reaches into every aspect of life.
Even rest.
Even rest and quiet reflection. You are internally satisfied because your delight is in the greater external success.
And running parallel to this explosive joy, we have a brief but powerful moment of illumination from Matthew's Gospel.
Ah, the light in the darkness. The people who sit in darkness have seen a great light.
On those dwelling in a land overshadowed by death, light has arisen.
It's a sudden, piercing moment of hope.
And if we connect this back to segment 1, this light is the manifestation of the discernment we just talked about. It allows them to see the one who is true.
It lifts the shadow of death that was the status of the whole world under the power of the evil one. So the joy of the psalm is the response to seeing the light.
And that response, celebrating an external victory, prepares the heart to step back.
Precisely.
All right, so now we transition from the high confidence of prayer and the sheer joy of unearned praise to the ultimate narrative example of humility, John the Baptist stepping back.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
This is it, the decreasing self principle in action.
This narrative from John 3 provides the practical model. The scene is set in a very competitive environment. Jesus and his disciples were baptizing in Judea, while John the Baptist was also performing baptisms in Enon near Salim. And the source notes that John had not yet been imprisoned.
Meaning his ministry was still active and thriving. So we're catching this intense moment of overlapping ministry.
They are essentially vying for the same congregational audience.
And the trigger for the dramatic dialogue that follows is just painfully relatable. Human competition, professional insecurity.
Absolutely. A dispute arose between John's disciples and a Jew, and that served as the catalyst for John's followers to voice their deep anxiety.
They weren't fighting about doctrine, were they?
Not at all. They were worried about market share.
They go to John, and their complaint is full of comparison. Rabbi, the one who was with you across the Jordan, here he is baptizing, and everyone is coming to him.
You can just feel that sting.
That feeling of being eclipsed, of seeing the competition thrive, is a universal pressure point.
It is, but John's response is a masterclass in non-jealousy. It fundamentally changes the nature of success.
How so?
He immediately deflates the entire premise of competition by establishing a universal principle. No one can receive anything except what has been given from heaven.
He just strips away all human agency. He redirects the focus entirely back to divine assignment.
If success is only giving, then there's nothing to be jealous of. The roles are fixed, preordained.
And he uses this principle to radically reaffirm his own testimony.
He reminds them, You yourselves can testify that I said that I am not the Christ, but that I was sent before him. This is radical loyalty to his assigned role, not an attempt to protect his brand.
And he crystallizes that assigned role using a brilliant, deeply resonant metaphor.
The bridegroom analogy.
Yes, dude.
He identifies Christ as the bridegroom who has the bride. That's the center of the story. John, by contrast, is merely the best man who stands and listens for him, rejoices greatly at the bridegroom's voice.
I find that analogy so powerful because the best man's job is complete when the bridegroom takes center stage. His entire purpose is to facilitate someone else's success.
And his joy isn't from his own accomplishment.
No, it's a derived secondary happiness based entirely on the fulfillment of the other person.
It speaks to the obsolescence of John's role. And that brings us to the famous declaration that is the climax of this narrative.
And the heart of our deep dive. The moment that shifts the conversation from narrative to profound discipleship.
So this joy of mine has been made complete.
He must increase. I must decrease. The completion of his entire vocational existence is tied directly to his own diminishment.
And the reflection source we have helps us synthesize what that decrease means. It notes that John's response shows a heart free from jealousy and rooted in obedience to God's plan.
So it reframes diminishment not as loss, but as the fulfillment of a trusted commission. This means that true discipleship isn't about grabbing the spotlight. The source says it is revealed in humility, gratitude, and faithfulness to the role God has entrusted to us.
It's about being a superb best man.
Whose job is done when the main event begins.
And that leads us directly to the application question posed in the material, which is absolutely vital for you, the listener, seeking practical knowledge.
It asks, this passage invites us to examine whether our actions point to our own glory or to the glory of Christ alone.
It's the test of the heart. Are your prayers, your actions, your ministry, are they about increasing you or increasing the ultimate focus?
And this is where the two main threads of our deep dive just lock together. If the greatest sin in 1 John was idolatry, that self-focus, then the remedy is this radical humility.
The decreasing self.
Exactly.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the confidence we discussed in the first segment, that certainty that if we ask according to his will, it is ours.
Yes.
It is intrinsically linked to this humility, a humble heart, one that has internalized, he must increase, I must decrease, is the only heart truly capable of discerning and asking according to God's will.
Because it seeks the glory of the divine, not self-recognition.
Yep.
It's the filter. If my heart is full of pride and jealousy and the desire to increase myself, my prayer is going to be riddled with requests for personal glory.
Which fall outside the definition of according to his will.
But when I embrace the joy of the best man, my requests naturally align with the greater purpose, completing my joy rather than inflating my ego.
The decrease allows for the increase of confidence. It's beautiful.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? We started with this duality, the absolute powerful confidence in prayer and the radical, humble self-effacement of John the Baptist.
And we've seen that the confidence is rooted in submission to the greater plan.
The aggressive joy of the Psalms is the emotional bridge, teaching us to delight in unearned victory, preparing us for that decrease.
We've explored the celebratory nature of delighting in that purpose and the strict requirement for discernment to avoid the destructive error of idolatry.
And now, the source material offers a final, practical challenge that builds on the necessity of this profound humility.
It asks us to consider what concrete step we can take today to decrease our pride and allow something greater to be more visible through our words and actions.
It's a great question.
It is, but I want to take that one step further. We've seen John say, "This joy of mine has been made complete." I want you to consider what it genuinely looks like for your joy to be made complete by deliberately stepping back.
Stepping back and celebrating the success, the glory, or the recognition of someone else in your life.
A colleague, a friend, maybe even a competitor, celebrating them rather than seeking that recognition for yourself. If you can achieve the complete joy of the best man, you have truly mastered the art of decreasing.